Are you an angel?
What?
Hey guys, this is your fiery friend the Infernoman here, and if you're into games, you're right where you need to be. But before we get into it, if you like the content that I put out there, I would greatly appreciate it if you hit me up with a like, or even better, subscribe to me. It really shows that people do care about my content. Now, if you have questions, comments, stuff you'd like to see played or discussed, you can @ me on Twitter or chat directly with me as I stream 2 to 3 times a week on Twitch. A visual link for those are up on the screen right now, and I will have direct links in the details below. And for today's deck tech, we're going to be covering Feather. Well, actually, now that I think about it, is it Boros Feather or is it Lorehold now? I don't know. Strixhaven kind of makes this a little confusing as to what do I want to call it. Any case, we do know for sure it is a Feather deck. What that basically means is we will be utilizing this wonderful angel to cast some instants and sorceries for extra value. But what made this deck make a comeback is we did get a couple of extra cards from the Strixhaven set to make this viable. Not to mention, this is actually a pretty good budget deck if you are interested in making something more of a top tier threat down the line. But to explain that, we will actually have to cover the deck as a whole. First, if you haven't seen me do this, usually we will cover the creatures first in the deck, then the non-creature spells, then the land base, if applicable, the sideboard, then we will have a match against Sparky to show you how the deck is meant to run, and if you do like the deck, a way to upgrade at the end of the video. But with that, let's go ahead and jump right on in. Now to begin, we will be utilizing 18 creatures in the deck, and they all do a great job of synergizing with one another. Clever Luomancer is actually a new addition to the Feather deck, and it gives us Magecraft. If you haven't seen what Magecraft does, is as you can see, whenever you cast or copy an instant or sorcery spell, the Luomancer will get +2/+2 until end of turn. This is basically prowess on a stick. So being able to go +2/+2 as opposed to +1/+1 like prowess usually does, means that this is going to be extremely powerful in the early game if we can pump it up with a bunch of spells. Basically, that's what also Soulscar Mage is going to do, just to a lesser degree. But that -1/-1 counter ability also can be good for removal against select creatures. We'll keep that in mind later on. In order to utilize more of our instants and sorceries, we will have 2 more creatures that can also help us out with that. Feather, of course, will do this, and Dreadhorde Arcanist. Ideally, having both out means that you never run out of instants and sorceries to cast. For example, with the Dreadhorde Arcanist, as it says right here on the card, when it attacks, you can cast an instant or sorcery card with a mana value less than or equal to the Arcanist's power from your graveyard without paying its mana cost. And then, of course, if you do cast the spell this way, it exiles. However, if you have Feather on the field, what this also adds is another level to allow you to reutilize your cards. How? Well, again, as you read right here, whenever Feather is out and you cast an instant or sorcery spell that targets a creature you control, you exile that card instead of putting it into your graveyard as it resolves. And if you do, you return it to your hand at the beginning of your end step. Dreadhorde Arcanist, depending on whatever its power is, will allow you to cast the spell for free, as long as it, of course, equals out to the mana value. And of course, from there, Feather will then be able to then bring it back to your hand at the end of your turn. And then finally, 10th District Legionnaire, which is just helping us out a little bit in the 2-drop slot, being able to pump itself just like the Soulscar Mage and the Clever Luomancer. The only difference, of course, with this is not only does it pump itself with +1/+1 counters, but also being able to scry allows us to fix our draws and ensure that we don't run out of gas. But basically, that's how the deck works. You ideally want at least one of your early payoffs, and then have a Dreadhorde Arcanist to allow you to keep repeating the ability to utilize more of your instants and sorceries. And of course, if you have Feather out as your finisher, this allows you then to keep casting everything over and over again for amazing levels of value. But as for what spells we're casting, well, let's look at those. As far as our sorceries and instants are concerned, we have a nice little hodgepodge of them, with Fight as One and God's Willing as our protection. For pump spells, Gird for Battle, Defiant Strike, Infuriate, Make Your Mark, and Invigorated Rampage. All of them provide different purposes, with Infuriate mostly utilized as a combat trick. Gird for Battle is good for pumping up our creatures at the beginning since it is sorcery speed. Defiant Strike is a weak pump, but it also gives us card draw. A single copy of Make Your Mark also about as weak as the Defiant Strike, but the advantage, of course, is it leaves behind a body in case we're anticipating some kind of creature removal. And finally, Invigorated Rampage, with the ability that it has, being able to pump one of your creatures for a huge amount and giving it trample, or you can split it between 2 and still get the same effect. But otherwise, that's all I got for you guys in terms of instants and sorceries. Let's go over now the land base. As far as the land base is concerned, a very simple, easy to understand 19 lands. 6 plains, 5 mountains, 4 windscarred crags, And 4 for new from Strixhaven, Lorehold Campus. What's nice about the campus is if you are at a moment where you are having a stalemate or you just need a way to fix your draws a little bit better and you have extra mana because you're flooding out, that ability to scry really does come in handy in a pinch. But otherwise, that's all I got for you guys for the land base. Now let's go over the sideboard. As far as your sideboard is concerned, it's a little bit of everything. So beginning with the top, we have shocks for some spot removal, and sometimes it can go great to our opponent's face. Copies of Soul Guide Lantern for your graveyard hate. If you need more creatures that can evade removal, a Danto Vanguard. For your ability to either pump your creature, destroy an enchantment, or just gain some life to keep yourself alive, Light Hope. Apostle of Purifying Light also kind of doubles as an extra set of Soul Guide Lanterns since it allows us to exile cards from the graveyard, but also more specifically, its protection from black means also it could be a great card to bring in next to your Vanguard. Some copies of Baffling End just for some early game removal. Make Your Mark, another copy of it in the sideboard. And finally, Flame Sweep as an easy way to get rid of some cheap creatures, usually helpful against the Elves or Goblins matchup. But otherwise, that's basically it for your sideboard. As always, make sure to adjust it depending on whatever the meta is shifting towards. But okay, let's go ahead and let's have a match against Sparky to show you how this deck actually is meant to work. Alright, and here we go once again, everybody. We will be facing off against Sparky as our wonderful sparring partner to show you the bare basics of how this deck is meant to work. And let's see. Well, if we can get one red source, this actually would be really sweet to have. It is tempting to keep it because of the Defiant Strike. Let's do it. I'm feeling spicy. Alright, Plains. Lumimancer down. Now, if we can just ride out at least to a second... Oh my goodness, there we go. Once again, our luck pays off. Alright, so in this case, we can start pumping our Lumimancer. They do have a swamp, so I'm anticipating some kind of removal. So we're going to have to be a little careful here. Defiant Strike. Pumps up the Lumimancer to a 3-3. And also we can go swinging now. It is really tempting, of course, to use the God's Willing to just close this out as soon as possible. But we need to hold off just a little bit. Alright, so in this situation, what's nice is we can actually get rid of the creature now if we want to. Do we do it now? We're going to wait, because I do want to take advantage of the pump that we get. Okay. Got a Plains. Now, this is actually where the tricky part of the match comes in, because we can cast Feather now, but that means we're wide open with the Clever Lumimancer, and also we have no other way of protecting Feather until we get another source. So, I think the safest option now is just to get rid of the creature. This will pump Lumimancer, so she survives the hit. 2-1, nothing amazing, but we are able to continually keep our momentum going here. We do have an Invigorator Rampage too, which is also really sweet. Okay, if we get another white source, this is exactly where we want to be. Well, not the best. Or maybe we can just take advantage of the situation. Well, I don't know. I still think we should play it safe. So we're going to pump one more time. Clever Lumimancer. All right. Get another cheap hit here. And we do have now the Fight as one. We really do need, though, that fourth land. A fourth land here would be really helpful. All right. More zombies. Okay. Come on. Okay. So close. Okay. Honestly, guys, I'm serious. Next turn, we're going to go off here, and it's going to be amazing. So we're going to wait. We're going to pass a turn. We just need to keep the mana up just to protect ourselves. Come on, Sparky. Tap out. Tap out. There you go. Attacking. We will take that damage. Oh, see? And this is why we want to have what we have. Okay. Let us... How do we want to use... God's Willing. Pumps up, but we don't really take advantage of that. Protect us from black. Okay. Defiant Strike on top is actually pretty good. All right. So, protected from removal. And I kind of wish we blocked, but that's okay. We got what we need now. So, we draw. Feather. Haha. And we will pass. Okay, so we are now set up for success. Feather will now be able to help us cycle our instants so we can keep reusing them. And there's no way otherwise for Sparky to get through. Okay, Sparky, you've got all your creatures here. Do we do this now? Do I want to do it now? We could get rid of the creature now. Let's see what happens. Do you have removal, Sparky? Okay. And that's fine. Fight as one. We'll choose both. Human, non-human. Okay. The pump comes in, and we do get to now get our card back, which is sweet. So, protected. Get it back. We take no damage. Okay, this is awesome. This is definitely where you want to be now with this match. All right, so gird for battle. Put some counters on both of our creatures. And watch the value come in, everybody. This is now where you want to be with the deck. Let us... We're going to go for the big pump now. This is where you want to have it. All right. And if Sparky does not block this... Well, actually, I think we win here. Yeah, we do win here. Hold on. I'm going to just see where they block. Okay. Fight is one. And this is it, basically, everybody. This is what you want to do with the deck. Pump everything up. Get all the buffs in. Smash them right here. Nothing they can do. And there you go. Feather. Don't underestimate the clever Luvamancer, because that's what's going to happen. All right? Okay, let's show you the upgrades. Now, as far as upgrades to the deck, there are some simple things you can do. The good news is the deck actually doesn't need that many more upgrades. It's almost optimal as is. First off, if you want to maintain consistency, it's pretty obvious. Get your rare lands. Obviously, get the shock lands first, then the pathway lands, and then finally the buddy lands in that order if you are trying to do upgrades with just that. As far as the sideboard, Deafening Clarion can replace the Flame Sweep as a much more stronger type of removal, and also at times giving your creatures lifelink can be a lifesaver, haha, versus, say, burn decks. Speaking of burn, Grape Shot is actually a pretty fun thing you can do if you want to try to finish off your opponent. Grape Shot, remember, again, has Storm, so anytime you're casting off all of those extra instants and sorceries from either the Dreadhorde Arcanist or from Feather itself, Grape Shot's Storm count will go up, and sometimes that can either help you get rid of a pesky creature in your way or can help you burn out your opponent. And finally, a spicy option, Loris in the sideboard. Granted, this does mean that if you have it, that you cannot use the actual card when you have Feather in your main deck. However, if you sideboard Feather out, then you can utilize Loris as your companion. So take that into consideration. But otherwise, that's it for the upgrades. Thankfully, all your instants and sorceries that are 1 mana, you don't need anything rare. This is actually all you need. And then you really have a solid deck that is not only fun to play, but is actually quite competitive. And that, everyone, is a budget version of Feather. Now, I don't know if we want to still call it Lorehold, or I don't know if we want to call it Boros. Some people even say it's called Dreadhorde Feather. I don't know. Whatever you want to call it, if you are a fan of this style of deck where you get to utilize instants and sorceries for extra value, definitely check this one out. But aside from that, you let me know in the comments below if you are a fan of this. If you want to see more budget versions of top-tier decks, I would love to hear from you guys. But aside from that, thanks again for watching, everyone. Be sure to like and subscribe if I helped you out, you learned something, or at least I entertained you. And remember that no matter what you do play in the game of life, always be sure to burn bright. Later.